What avoidant people secretly expect during no contact is something most people completely misunderstand. When you stop reaching out, when your texts disappear, your presence fades, and the silence takes over, it looks like they don't care. They may seem distant, unaffected, even cold, but beneath that surface, there's a lot going on that they never openly show. Avoidants don't usually deal with emotions in the moment. When things end, they often appear calm or disconnected because their natural response is to shut feelings down. But one of the first things they quietly expect during no contact is that you'll eventually come back. Not out of ego, but because that's how the dynamic has often worked before. They pull away, and the other person closes the gap. When you don't do that this time, it unsettles them. Even if they say nothing, they notice your silence. Every day that passes without you reaching out doesn't go unnoticed. In their mind, there's still this quiet assumption that you'll return. At the same time, even though they struggle with closeness, they're also afraid of being left behind. So another expectation forms under the surface. They assume you're still emotionally there, just giving them space. They imagine that when they feel ready, you'll still be available, still open to them. It gives them comfort to believe you haven't fully let go. They want the reassurance of your presence without the pressure of emotional closeness. In their head, you're still connected to them, just at a distance. But as the silence stretches on, their thoughts start to shift. A deeper, more vulnerable expectation begins to show up. Part of them actually wants you to break no contact. They want you to reach out, to fight for them, to show them they matter. Avoidants often carry a hidden belief that they're not truly lovable, that people will leave once they're fully seen. So even though they push others away, there's a part of them hoping someone won't walk away this time. When you stay silent, it can reinforce that fear, making them feel like maybe they were never that important to begin with. This creates a confusing emotional loop inside them. They want answers, but they don't want to be the one to ask. They replay conversations in their mind, check your social media, and look for signs of what you're feeling. They try to figure everything out without having to open up themselves. They want clarity, but without exposing their own vulnerability. Everything happens quietly, internally, without direct communication. There's also another layer to this. Some avoidants expect that during no contact, you'll somehow change. Not into a different person, but into someone more emotionally independent. Someone who doesn't need as much reassurance or closeness. It's not necessarily because you were too much, but because emotional intensity can feel overwhelming to them. So they imagine that this time apart is making you calmer, more self-contained, easier to be with if things ever start again. And then comes the biggest contradiction of all. They want to feel missed, but not depended on. They want to matter to you, but without feeling responsible for your emotions. They want to be chosen, but not pressured. It's this constant push and pull inside them, wanting connection, but fearing the weight that comes with it. So during no contact, they start questioning things quietly in their own mind. They wonder if you still think about them, if they still have some emotional influence over you. That idea gives them a sense of validation. But the moment it feels like you're too attached or dependent, they instinctively pull back again. It's a delicate balance. They want to feel admired, but not tied down by emotional expectations. Another thing they rarely admit is how much they fear being replaced. On the outside, they may act like it doesn't bother them if you move on, but internally, that thought can hit hard. The silence creates space, and in that space, their imagination takes over. They start thinking about possibilities that weren't there before. What if you're talking to someone else? What if that person understands you in a way they couldn't? What if they lost someone who genuinely cared about them? These thoughts can trigger regret, insecurity, even anxiety. But instead of expressing it, they withdraw even more. They become quieter, more distant. That silence isn't because they don't feel anything. It's their way of protecting themselves. Sometimes, especially if things ended in a heated or emotional way, They may initially expect no contact to hurt you. A part of them might feel like now you'll understand what they went through. It can feel like a form of emotional payback. But that mindset doesn't last forever. Over time, it softens into something more vulnerable. A quiet hope begins to grow that maybe the connection isn't completely gone, that the door isn't fully closed, even if they're not ready to step through it yet. And then there's something even deeper that they usually won't admit, not even to themselves. A part of them believes that you'll still understand them in the end, that despite their distance, their mixed signals, and their silence, you'll somehow see through it all. They hold on to the idea that you'll recognize that their behavior isn't rejection, but fear. That you'll read between the lines and respond with patience instead of walking away. It's not always realistic, but it's a powerful belief that keeps them emotionally connected, even when they act like they've moved on. So what do you do with all of this? Here's the truth. Stop trying to become what the avoidant silently expects from you, and start becoming what you truly need for yourself. The more you shape yourself around their unspoken rules, the more you lose touch with who you are. No contact isn't meant to be a tactic to get them back. It's a space for you to reconnect with your own value and identity. When you stop chasing, stop over-explaining, and stop adjusting yourself just to keep them comfortable, something inside you begins to change. You start to feel grounded again. You take your power back. And that's the one thing they never really anticipate, that in the silence, you'll grow beyond the version of you they once knew. You won't need their mixed signals or emotional distance anymore. If they ever return, it won't be because you played into their hidden expectations. It will be because you stepped out of that cycle completely. You changed the dynamic. You allowed them to feel your absence, not through anger or revenge, but through calm detachment. And ironically, that quiet strength is what affects them the most. For once, they're not running away from pressure. They're simply watching you move forward and realizing they may have lost something real. If this message connected with you, take a moment and breathe. You're not the only one who has felt this way. Being involved with someone avoidant can leave you feeling confused, overlooked, and emotionally drained. But the silence you're choosing right now isn't empty. It holds power. It's where your healing begins. Not for them, but for you. If you've ever felt like you were the only one putting in effort, remember this. Your ability to feel deeply is not a flaw. It's something valuable. And people who can't meet you at that level are not your responsibility to fix. If you're ready to take your peace back, show some support by liking this video so more people can find it. Subscribe to Modern Love Code for more real conversations about healing, boundaries, and self-worth. And share your thoughts in the comments. What part of this message stayed with you the most? I read them all, and your story might help someone else feel understood. Until next time, protect your peace, respect your growth, and never shrink yourself just to fit into someone else's comfort zone. You're here to grow, not to hold yourself back. Stop trying to become what the avoidant silently expects from you, and start becoming what you truly need for yourself. The more you shape yourself around their unspoken rules, the more you slowly disconnect from who you really are. You begin to second-guess your feelings, tone down your needs, and carry the weight of a connection that was never balanced to begin with. No contact isn't a trick or a strategy to pull them back in. It's a space where you finally return to yourself. When you stop chasing, stop explaining yourself over and over, and stop trying to earn emotional consistency from someone who struggles to give it, something powerful shifts inside you. You start to feel steady again. You remember what it's like to exist without constantly analyzing someone else's behavior. You begin to trust your own emotions instead of questioning them. That's where your power comes back. Not in controlling them, but in choosing yourself. And this is the part they never expect. They don't expect that your silence won't just be temporary. They don't expect that instead of waiting, you'll actually evolve. That you'll outgrow the version of yourself that tolerated confusion, distance, and emotional unavailability. At some point, their absence stops feeling like a loss and starts feeling like relief. You no longer crave their attention the way you once did. You no longer feel the urge to prove your worth. You simply know it. If they ever come back, it won't be because you played into their hidden expectations or passed some invisible test. It will be because you broke the pattern completely. You stepped out of the cycle where they pull away and you chase. You allowed the silence to exist without trying to fix it. You let them feel your absence in a way that's calm, grounded, and real. No anger, no desperation, just peace. And that kind of peace is something they can't ignore because it shows them that you're no longer available in the way you used to be. For the first time, they're not reacting to your energy. They're observing it. They see you moving forward, growing, becoming more self-contained, and it forces them to confront something they've been avoiding, what they lost. Not in a dramatic or loud way, but in a quiet realization that settles in over time. And sometimes that realization hits harder than anything you could have said. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. Your growth is not about making them realize anything. It's about you no longer needing them to. Because once you reach that point, everything changes. You stop waiting for closure from someone who couldn't even offer consistency. You stop hoping they'll become the person you needed them to be. You accept what was, without letting it define what comes next. If this message resonates with you, take a moment and really sit with it. You're not alone in feeling confused, drained, or emotionally exhausted after dealing with someone avoidant. It can make you question your worth, your expectations, even your ability to love. But none of that means there's something wrong with you. It means you cared deeply in a situation that didn't know how to hold that depth. The silence you're choosing right now isn't empty. It's meaningful. It's where you start rebuilding your sense of self without outside validation. It's where you learn to meet your own emotional needs instead of waiting for someone else to show up. And most importantly, it's where you begin to understand that love should never feel like something you have to chase or prove. If you've ever felt like you were the only one putting in effort, remember this: your ability to love, to feel, to invest emotionally, that is not a weakness. That is your strength. The right person won't make you feel like you have to shrink it, hide it, or apologize for it. The right person will meet you there without hesitation. So instead of asking, will they come back? Start asking, do I even want what they were offering? Because when you answer that honestly, you'll realize that what you truly deserve is consistency, clarity, and emotional safety. Not confusion, not distance, not mixed signals. If you're ready to take your peace back, support this message by liking the video so it reaches more people who need to hear it. Subscribe to Modern Love Code for more honest conversations about healing, boundaries, and rediscovering your self-worth. And share your thoughts in the comments. What part of this message hit you the hardest? I read every single one, and your experience could help someone else feel less alone. And before you go, remember this: you are not here to chase love. You are here to experience it fully without losing yourself in the process. Protect your peace, honor how far you've come, and never shrink who you are just to fit into someone else's emotional limitations. You're not here to settle. You're here to rise, to grow, and to become everything you were always meant to be.